Hi, nice to be back after Easter. And today I would like to share some documentation that we wrote for LionWeb Java. As you may know, at this point, we have been working together with many other partners at LionWeb Java for over 2 years. Well, more 3 years and a half, I would say at this stage. And over time, we built specification, but also a certain amount of software. Among these components that we created, there is also LionWeb Java, which is the library that you can use to work with LionWeb from Java and from the JVM languages, and we will see what we can do with it. It's written in the documentation, so let's take a look. Okay, you can find it at lionweb.io/lionwebjava, and we specify what LionWeb is. So LionWeb is a set of specification and supporting software to make interoperable, to create language engineering solution by combining interoperable components. So we can build, we can combine a repository, parsers, editors, all sort of components that process code together to create a compressive solution. And different partners can contribute to create this solution. They just had to work with the LionWeb specification. And components for LionWeb can be written in multiple languages, including Java. So here there is first description of the project, a description about LionWeb, and that may be interesting because there are some references on other material that you can find about LionWeb, but also tutorial, interviews with some of the contributors, so you can get an idea. Examples, past presentation that we gave, so there is quite some material. But then, okay, some development guideline for LionWeb Java and the status. Basically, right now, LionWeb Java can be used in production, is used in production, is reasonably mature and solid. At this time, we have implementation for creating models and serializing them. We have support for converting back and forth from EMF. We can write, read and write on the LionWeb repository using what is called the bulk API, so APIs that are convenient to transfer entire models. And in the coming weeks, we will work on the Delta protocol that is intended to have a real-time collaboration so that different clients can work on the same models at the same time and managing conflicts and so on. So this is coming soon. After the Delta protocol is implemented, because the specification is written at this stage, we will release 1.0. So we can then see a list of the different components of LionWeb Java. And then finally, we can see how to use LionWeb Java. So you can include it in your project, use your usual Gradle/Maven and stuff. And then, first of all, you need to use some language. Now, LionWeb is about interoperability, and given it's interoperable with existing solution that let you define languages, the most reasonable thing to do is to use one of these components like NPS, Fern, Starlazu to define your languages and then export them in LionWeb format. That is nice and easy. Alternatively, if you want to define your language programmatically, you can. It's a little bit verbose because here we're using Java and Java 8 for maximum compatibility. If you're using a sibling project, LionWeb Kotlin, which build up on LionWeb Java, there is a more nice API because Kotlin is just so much better than Java. Yeah, it's not even worth arguing that point. So yes, you can define the language in a very verbose way, but very straightforward, and then you can save it, for example, in JSON format. Once you have defined a language that is sort of schema of the kind of things you can define, then you can define the actual content. LionWeb is intended to work with trees, and you can do that in different ways. You can use the homogeneous APIs. Basically, there is one class called dynamic node can be used to represent all sorts of nodes. So you can, for example, use it. Here we are defining the language. Here you define a node referring to a certain concept. I set the properties, set the children, write my node, my entire tree, and then I navigate it, and if I wanted, I could save it on file. Good, pretty straightforward. The advantage is that the homogeneous API works for all languages. So someone else write a language and write models according to that language, send it to you, you can work with it using dynamic nodes. Or you can create heterogeneous nodes. Heterogeneous nodes are when you create a specific class for each kind of node that you have. So for example, if I am defining a concept representing a task list, then I can create a class called task list, and I will use it to process nodes that are representing task lists, and similar for task. Here we are defining the language as before, and here we're using it, and at this point, this is just using a normal, let's say, Java bean that happens to be built on top of a LionWeb base class, so that this result in Java bean can be serialized to LionWeb, it can be processed by all LionWeb compatible processors, and so on. We can take each tree and serialize it to JSON, pretty straightforward. We can also say, when you find a node of this, using this concept, I want you to deserialize it using one of the classes I've shown you before. And here, this is what we are doing. We are saying, when you find a node with the concept task, then instantiate a class, instantiate the class task instead of just using dynamic node. Here's some example. And here we have some example of working with the LionWeb repository. So we can create a partition. A partition is a top-level node, not contained in any other node. Then we create some nodes, we store them in the repository, and then we retrieve them. So extremely straightforward, very, very easy to do. And so, yeah, that's it for now. There are a bunch of things that we need to document further, like more advanced API of the LionWeb repository, or the serialization and deserialization, the conversion to and from EMF, for example. That is a capability provided by LionWeb Java. And so, yeah, I hope this is useful for someone interested in LionWeb. So please take a look and let me know if there are any questions, comments, doubts. I'm always happy to hear about that. And let me see. If you're interested in LionWeb in general, we have a GitHub organization, a Slack channel, and an email. So just write at info@lionweb.io, and we will be happy to answer all the questions you have. So thank you, and have a great day.